Welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you are interested in checking out more of the shows that UPRN has to offer, you can head to uprntalkradio.com. We are always getting new shows, new hosts, exciting things in our archives. There are thousands of archives for you guys to check out and listen to. If you are new here, thanks for joining us. If you've been here for a while, you have my gratitude and appreciation. I'm always so grateful for the support. Everybody that hangs out in the chat just helps make the show what it is. If you are just meeting me for the first time, I am a psychic medium based out of Guelph, Ontario, Canada. I have been able to connect with spirit from the time that I was little, and have been doing this work full time for just over 18 years now. We'd like to send out happy 4th of July to all my American friends. 4th of July is my oldest son's birthday, so we are also celebrating his birthday today. And he was born and I was born in Sioux, Canada. So we were that border town. And when my son was little, I used to take him to the border and let him know how awesome the Americans were, that they would throw such awesome fireworks for his birthday. So he always thought the fireworks were specifically for him, which was fabulous. So yeah, that's what we used to do. I'm gonna see where we're at. Just say a few hellos here. Hello, Contessa Martin. Happy Friday to you too. Hello, Victoria, Astrolite Paranormal. Saying hello to both my guest and I. Excited for tonight's show. I am too. Hello, Stephanie Malo. Thank you for being here. For folks that may have missed, Stephanie Malo was on a couple of weeks ago. She is the author of Stopping to Smell the Flowers book series and cards. And I have a wee confession. I know that I had spoke to Stephanie about it afterwards. We had this weirdness happen. Weirdness happens when you're in this kind of world and doing all of this stuff, right? Weirdness happens. And I had drawn one of her flower cards to set my intention for the day. And I was going to talk about it during the show. And I had them on the desk. I know that I had them. And then right before the show, I could not find them. Looked above. I was underneath. I was literally on the floor looking for these cards. It was just crazy that I could not find them. So I have two dogs. One is a Bulldog Shar-Pei cross. His name is Bruce. He's beautiful, sweet, brindled, lovely. And then I have Nora. And I probably shouldn't have said it with that tone, but Nora has been a little more challenging for me. She's a sweet Chihuahua pug with heterochromia. So she's got this awesome, like, one blue eye, one brown eye. Anyway, we finished the show. I stepped out of the office and Bruce he didn't come greet me like they normally do. Like normally they sit outside the office door and they're ready for me. And so I poked my head over into his crate and he was eating the said flower cards. So that is where they went and disappeared. There was nothing paranormal about it. It was my dog's misbehaving. So get the cards. They're beautiful and keep them out of reach for your dogs because they're so sweet. Even the dogs want to be a part of it. Joanna Hello, thank you for being here. Mary Jane, I know you are excited. I hope you have your questions ready. I gave Marilyn the heads up that there were people coming with questions today, so don't stopping to eat the flowers. Yes, that's exactly what Bruce did. Stopping to eat the flowers. Stephanie, you are so funny. That is exactly what he did today. Tanya, thank you so much for being here. Oh, Contessa, happy birthday to your cat. Oh, Stephanie, it's my pleasure. I always love hanging out with you. See, you can kind of hear my dogs currently right now, right? But okay, let's bring out our today's guest. I was very excited. So today is part 2. We did part 1 with Marilyn Kaufman, hypnotherapist, author of Lifetimes, which I have here. You can find it. I will double check when we bring Marilyn out the places that you can. I know where I purchased it, which is not always like my favorite to promote, but we will talk to Marilyn about where we can purchase the book. So we talked about past life. We talked about past life regression, past lives, and life between lives. And she had generously offered to do a session for me. And I had told everyone that I would discuss it and talk about it. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go a little deeper with things that Marilyn would like to share that we didn't have an opportunity to get to last time. And we will talk about the things that happened during my session. So please welcome Marilyn Kaufman.
Hi.
We'll go try again. Oh my goodness. Let's see what happens. There we go.
Hi.
It was me. It was like blipping you on and off. So crazy. Welcome to Spirit Switchboard. Thank you for coming back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And you know what? It's my sister's birthday today, too. Isn't that funny?
Is it really? Oh, that's beautiful. Well, happy birthday to your sister. Is she close? Do you get to spend time with her?
No, she lives in Tennessee.
Oh, celebrating the 4th of July, too.
Yes, she always gets to do that.
My son's in Calgary.
So I was saying, because my ex-husband's birthday was July 1st. So we always had these, in the little town where I lived, we always had these parades. And my kids thought they were for his birthday all the time.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that funny, eh? The things that we say. I'm just going to change up our banner here so people can see your web address as we're chatting today. For people who may have missed our first segment, could you give a little bit of a background so people get to know, where you started and how you got to come to where you are now?
Okay, I got started because I had a spontaneous past life, and I'll cut it short.
Oh no! Please share however you feel like sharing. Yeah.
So I went into a past life not knowing I was going into a past life, and it was kind of traumatic because it was in Germany, and I was being accused of being a witch, and they had taken my youngest daughter in that lifetime and thrown her in a fire, and I was later hung for being a witch. But my teacher, I was studying energy psychology that night, and my teacher didn't know how to deal with it, and I didn't know how to deal with it at all. And so I had to learn how to do it and deal with it so people didn't have. Well, first of all, it was fascinating because that child was the same daughter in my current life. And so I wanted to learn about it so that people wouldn't have a traumatic experience like I did. And so I'm in London, Ontario, not that far from you.
Yeah.
But that's it. And I've been doing this for about 18 years now.
Isn't that amazing? And do you find, like, when you were doing that process, did it feel raw? Like when you started learning, did it feel less raw for you when you were going into those lifetimes, or as you were
Oh yeah.
processing it?
Yeah.
Like,
It was just because no one knew what was going on
right.
in that spontaneous past life. I had never experienced a past life before, and I didn't know why I was seeing these things.
In the book Lifetimes, you share very vulnerably
Yeah.
personal stories,
Mhm.
along with teaching.
And I wanted to do that so people would be comfortable working with me. Like I'm just a human with human experiences and working on my crap. And
Yeah, yeah.
I thought if people were more comfortable with me, that they would be more comfortable working with me as well. If,
And how important is it for us to work on our crap?
well, you can work on your crap a whole lot more ways than past life,
Yeah.
which I had been doing for a long time. So I bring other tools and things to the experience if I need to. But it's very important to work on our stuff. And I think now there's the veil so thin that we can just, people are awakening. So many people are awakening and need to know what's going on.
Yeah. And
Like, crap
just
is
having
into
the
that.
exactly. It's like so many people are having experiences and memories coming up, things that they
Yes,
thought they had processed, but why
yes.
is this layer coming up again?
And
There's
it's,
thoughts.
sorry, it's amazing in the 18 years, um, how much more aware people are now
Mhm.
of their past lives, of that they've had memories, that they've, pulled them up on their own or from recurring dreams or whatever. Like 18 years ago, it wasn't, the people didn't come as prepared, or curious, or I'm not sure exactly how to say that, but
Were the intentions different? Like,
yeah,
um,
well,
more curiosity maybe 18 years ago and more intentional
a
now?
lot more. What's happening now is star seeds are coming forth.
Mm,
And like, I think 18 years ago, maybe we didn't even know what that term star seed meant.
right.
Um, or a lot of us didn't. And maybe we felt something, but we didn't understand what it was, what it was to be
Hmm.
a star seed, right? So
Hmm.
that's really
And,
changed things a lot.
and definitely for me, that was the bigger focus going into the session with you. The bigger focus was understanding, well, a few things, understanding where the book came from in the garage storage unit.
Yeah,
I wanted to find out that.
so
And
amazing. I love that story.
it's pretty powerful. And then uh, the owl alien connection for me, and where that was coming from, and those that guide, and how that affected our family structure. Well, yeah, for a lot of us, and that was sort of my intention going in.
We should talk about some of that stuff.
Hmm.
But one thing I
You,
want to say is that a lot of times when you're doing energy work, electronics don't work, right? So
yeah,
we set up a camera so we could show some video clips, and it was fully charged, and it lasted like 3 seconds.
yeah,
It went out, and it was completely, the battery was completely drained because
yeah.
her energy is so strong.
And you know what? I have had to learn to not feel defensive when I hear that phrase, that her energy is so big or her energy is so strong.
Okay, our
Um,
combined energy is so strong.
yes, it was. It was because that room, your room that you are currently sitting in the chair that's behind you is where I was sitting, and
I'm
um,
hiding it because it's so ugly.
it's perfect, and it does exactly what it holds space perfectly, right?
It's
And it's
comfortable.
comfy. Yes, exactly. And I think that we'll see if I can pull it up.
There, There's the chair. But it reclines, so you'll be comfortable.
Let's see if I grabbed it. I think I took oh. I might have to do this differently. Hang tight a second. So, do many people record their sessions? Like, I know that you did an audio recording.
I record everybody's session and send it to them.
Right. Let me see if I can do this. I'm sometimes not very brave in doing this, so this is being brave for me today. Not about sharing, but like trying to find things while we're doing it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh my goodness. Thanks for being patient, folks. We're just gonna that's what I want. I feel like we need to hum the Jeopardy song. There we go. Let's see if it will bring it up right away. Thanks for being patient, everybody.
Oh, who took the picture? Or was that just on before the battery drained?
Yeah, so there was actually 2 minutes. There's 2 minutes of recording, and in the audio you can hear it when it's going off. So in the audio, but that was there's like 2 minutes of us. And you know what was weird too was there was no sound. At one point you come in to talk to me and your face is close to me, but you talk and I'm talking and there's no sound in the 2 minute recording at all. Wow. Which is also weird.
I do want to point out one thing on that picture. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you can see
yes. She was. You can see on her face that she's concentrating on what she's seeing, because in the beginning, if you don't see it like a movie, you have to kind of concentrate. So that's one thing I want to tell people, that when they come to you, you're doing all the work, like you're telling them. But when you come for past life regression, you're doing the work. So it does take a fair bit of concentration. And, and digging, but I'm always there helping you through it, helping you to understand what you're getting.
Can you explain how you get us to that place? Because it was like a very deep meditation and staying consciously aware, but in this state of meditation.
It's about a 15 to 20 minute process. And so it starts with a relaxation, quite a long relaxation. And then I do a chakra visualization, and that helps just to keep getting you deeper, grounding, and it helps you start visualizing, and it works on your chakras as well. And then I'll do the hypnotic induction. And then even after that point, I'm talking to you before we go through the tunnel. So then after that, you go through a tunnel. When you step out of the tunnel, you would be remembering your first past life. But it's how you remember, which sometimes is the part that takes a little while, or why you have to concentrate, because either you see it like a movie, or you hear things, or you get downloads, you feel things, like actually physically feel, but also your emotions. And, so it's all the clairs. And then sometimes the claircognizant people, they just get downloads, right? Like, I don't see it like a movie. I get a visual, but I get that download. So, like they say, one picture is worth 1,000 words. And that download, so you understand what's happening.
I get it. I had it all. Like during our time together, I had it all. And I remember I'm but this is how I work. Like when I'm doing sessions for people,
Mm.
it looks and feels like, and I wrote that in the notes as well too, that we'll get to today. When they're doing remote viewing with me and showing me someone's space, my eyes are closed and I feel almost lifted up out of myself, and they move me around and I have to adjust. And I felt like I was doing that the whole time that we were together in our time together during my session. I was like moving around and seeing things from all these different perspectives.
And you were,
Yeah.
you were,
Yeah.
and one thing you have to know, because the fact that Kerrilynn is a psychic medium, she's very open, and so things came to her very fast. And I knew you would have an excellent experience because you are a psychic
Thank
medium.
you. It was, well, you held the space, which I don't, which is gonna make me sound awful, but I don't trust very many people to be in my energetic space. I don't open up and allow myself to be vulnerable to very many people at all, because yeah, you don't really know what other people's intentions are.
I've had a lot of people tell me that. So I think because I'm personal in the book, and if people read the book before they come and they get to know me, they know I'm just a person. I've gone through everything that they could be going through, and I've shared my secrets, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so, it's a safe space, and anything that goes on in this room stays in this room.
Mm-hmm. Except now
And
today.
if I write a book, it's
Yeah.
completely anonymous.
Yeah. So
But
Contessa,
I don't intend to write another book about like that. So
well, but maybe yet, who knows? You may get
never say never.
you allow yourself to go with the flow and be guided in the way that you need to, and allow the synchronicities to happen, and maybe you'll be part of other people's books, because you're a very big part of my journey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's really.
This is like, it was a very powerful experience for me.
Should we talk about it? And yes,
Well,
I do. I can work on Zoom. I see Contessa is asking if I can work on Zoom, and yeah, very successfully. I've worked with a lot of people throughout North America, especially during COVID.
Yeah, that's almost like a swear word. We have to be careful
Yeah.
with it. Oh, hello, Mish. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Heidi Gold. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to make sure that if I missed anybody or some questions before we get into it. Oh, Heather, thank you for being here. So my friend Heather has this beautiful property in Cambridge, Ontario, and a healing center that she's opened up on her property called Come to the Forest.
Oh,
and it's beautiful. So she's just commenting, wow, I didn't realize it could be so physical as well too. Oh, let me pull that out. Oh, sorry, Mish. Oh, Mish is asking, yeah, so can you work overseas?
I haven't, but yes, if we can. I don't work with Zoom, actually. I like to work with Messenger video or FaceTime. I find them more, they're more. The only time I ever had a problem was because I was working with someone on her iPhone and she forgot to charge it.
Oh dear.
And the thing is, you can't get stuck. If there would be a connection breakdown, you can't get stuck in hypnosis. I tell people who I work online with how to, you just say 1, 2, 3 and open your eyes.
Yeah.
And you can bring yourself out, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis.
I did, I offered like one-on-one meditations with a specific intention. So you let me know your intention and we do some energetic cord cutting and I create your guided meditation specifically for you. And I was doing one online and somebody fell asleep the entire time. So I was recording it for them and I just let them sleep and then I had to hang up. But then I sent them the recording later because they fell asleep right at the beginning. And I'm like, what? There's nothing I can do. They're not waking me up in that
sleep too. So I kind of have to work around that.
Yeah,
like I can, I'm watching. If I can tell if they fell asleep, then I'll just say, "Are you with me?" Or if I have to, I shake their leg a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I had never had that happen before, and it's good practice. It was good practice for me to know how to navigate through that as well too. Well, I guess we'll move into my session.
Sure.
If you're comfortable with that. I was again, I was unaware of the time. Like when we were done and I got to the car, I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to make you a bigger painting. Because
I think you were there for 5 hours.
I needed to take you out for dinner. I needed that was it was much longer than I'm sure what you were expecting as well too. And you just so graciously held space and allowed it to be what it was.
You can't interrupt spirit communication. You can't. I've never seen time's up.
Really,
No.
It was powerful. And again, I guess a lesson for me too, because when I got to the car, that worthiness can kick in for me, that theme of worthiness, and that you held the space that long. I was feeling guilty that I had held you in that space for so long, that little blip, right? That was there. So doing the energy work that I needed around that. When I got to the car. So it was good that it's an hour and 20 minutes home. So I worked on the worthiness part and letting it go because it just was what it needed to be. Anyway.
Well, why don't you talk about your past life? So we did a between life regression.
Yes.
And that always starts with a past life. And then from there, we go to the day that she died in that life. Now you do this, like it wasn't scary, right? Because you're doing it without pain and without extreme emotion.
Oh yeah, I was not physically feeling the death at all. I wasn't feeling those things. I was still understanding and sensing emotions that were attached, but I wasn't necessarily feeling it intensely. There was one point that was intense, but we'll get to that part after.
And so then I don't really take you to the time when you die, but I take you from the day you die to the moment your spirit leaves your body.
Yeah.
And you can look down and see your body on the bed, right? Your family was with you. I remember that. But the past life was cool.
So it was super cool. Past life? You took me, well, you didn't take, you allowed me to get to. So where the regression took me to.
We decided to let your subconscious mind take you where you needed to go.
Yes. Which turned out to be 1598 Spain, which was amazing. And I think we landed in a market first. I was in a market and it was busy and there was people in my face. And when I did some research about that time period, there was so much upheaval that the markets were sort of contentious. So it made sense that I had this man in my face, because with the research that I did, there was some political upheaval and different things that were happening that made the markets and people vying for your money and vying for your attention, right? So So where did she come from? Where did she go? Yes, Spain, apparently. So 1598. And when I went back, it was interesting too, because we did the marketplace and I was smelling spices. There was salted meat. There was some material. I found out that I think it's Queen Isabella, 1598 was Queen Isabella. But what I also found out, remember I kept talking about the house, and it was like this bigger property with this courtyard.
It was U-shaped with the courtyard in the middle.
Yeah. So I wrote some notes as well too, but it had this sort of like shape, and then in behind like this section, it was like even bigger property. So again, when I was doing the research, it would be a summer home, that there would be two places, and that described what a summer home would look like during that time period. And I know that
winter home, it must have been
right.
huge.
I think so. And what I was seeing, because I realized too, like there was you gently guided me back to try to tell you more. But at one point I was flying so fast, I couldn't keep up with the things. It was like this movie reel going so quick in my head. I was just trying to keep up with what I was seeing after a certain point. So during that period, I saw my sister who felt like my sister in this lifetime, my daughter who felt like my daughter in this lifetime, my husband who was my former husband in this lifetime. And he was not kind in that lifetime. There was, but definitely business person, like a merchant in money and keeping himself away.
That was a property manager. He owned a lot of property and went around and collected rents from everybody.
Yeah. And definitely, mistresses. So that's what I was seeing, was there was other more important people. And during that lifetime, he is very Catholic, which he's Italian Catholic this lifetime. So there's that. And I remember you had asked me about like relationships, and I had saw two boys, and there were one was very tall, like over 6 feet. The other one was about 6 feet. And my daughter was much younger. There was like an age gap between them. But I realized too, like my sister in that lifetime had many reproductive losses. I had many losses. And so when I was doing research about that time period, like Spain of 1598, there were like many stillborns, miscarriages, deaths after birth. There was a lot of child loss in that time period.
And another thing of note, that your family, the women in your family, had gifts, right?
Yes. So I was a seer, and
you had to keep them quiet.
When I did some research about that, it was I wrote it down. I had to write it down because it was so fascinating. I was like, freaking course, that's what it was. So my daughter was as well too. I don't know if my mom was. I just know that it was within that family female structure line. And I remember saying that I could make it rain.
Yes.
And that if I wanted it to rain, I just had to go to the creek. I had to go to the river where the water was and talk to the water, and it would rain. And when we got to that place of, we moved forward ahead, and you asked me to move forward ahead to something that was important. And it was my daughter's wedding. And we had stitched a sigil on the inside of her wedding dress. So that's what I was seeing as I saw her come up, was this, these sigils that were important inside. And she had like a bag that had intentions and different trinkets in it with her when she was getting married. So this hiding, and that was that theme, right? Like I used the word quietly, we quietly did this. We quietly, and there were the
I think
Spanish.
your husband didn't approve of it either.
He was very Catholic, so we kept everything hidden. That's what I remember. Um, and what I had said during that time was very quiet. I just want to quickly find that note, because I found different information about it. Oh yeah, the Spanish Inquisition was between 1478 and 1873. So
Wow.
it was like hiding in plain sight because people were prosecuted and unalived for keeping old ways. So, and I had wrote stitch protection in my daughter's dressed inside the wrist of her sleeve, and that she had these amulets and charms that were there. But yeah, and I feel like the abuse that I was feeling during that lifetime was centered around being a little more open about those. So I just found it quite fascinating that I had a little bit of an FU attitude, because I know that I had to have it in this lifetime too. And being a little more independent, like, I'm still going to do what I need to do, and we're going to do it quietly. So
one of the nice things in this work is, once we met your spirit guides, we asked why your subconscious mind took you to that lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk to that?
So in that lifetime, the tallest son that I had intervened during volatile exchange. So in protecting me. And so what my guides explained to me in our session was, it was for me to be able to let my light shine brighter, and my children didn't have to be my protection or my protectors
In this life.
In this lifetime.
So for you to stand up for yourself in this lifetime.
Yeah, for me to stand up. And what again, where the aha wasn't just about with my former husband in this lifetime. It was also my father in this lifetime. So wow. Seeing it in different areas and having to stand up for myself and speak my truth where there was, volatile abuse, for sure.
But along with that, it mentioned that a lot of the women in that lifetime and your current lifetime suffered some kind of abuse, and you were here to break that cycle. And
yes.
You did that cycle.
Yeah. And that was powerful in understanding relationships and intimate relationships and seeing how that unfolded. So, that was a great aha and intention that I needed for that. Where did we go after that? Oh, then we went to my death. Think about it so blasé, but
I love the part after you went to your mom's funeral. And then you became the matriarch of the home, of that large home.
Yeah, it was.
So it stayed in the family, even though your husband left. At that point, he left you.
Well, he died.
Okay, I wasn't sure how he left, but he left.
Yeah, he had already gone. He had already died. So he had died first, and then my mom did. So he died much younger, and my mom, which when I did some research was also fascinating, because I felt like I was really old, and I remember saying I was like 90, but when I was doing the research, it was saying 60 would be like an old age for a female in that time period. So I do feel like my mom was older than that at that time period as well too. And that makes sense for even in this lifetime, because my grandmother she was into her 90s, but she had siblings that lived into their hundreds.
Wow.
And one of my other aunts lived till she was 102. So, that living longer than everybody else seems to be a thing. Embrace the witchy side, folks.
90's the new 60, right?
I think so. I do think so.
The new 90. How does that work?
I think so. Standing up. So, and then we went to my passing, which was that was good for me too, to experience, because I saw all of my family saying goodbye to me. And in this lifetime, I've had that I'm probably going to die alone narrative in my head. So it was interesting to see that that's not how it was in that lifetime, and creating, clear cancel delete, clear cancel delete that narrative that I had put out to the universe in dying alone, right? Oh, sorry, Mary Jane, I'll put your question up. Mary Jane's question is it common for people we knew in past lives to show up in our other lives or current life?
Yes, it can be. And it's usually, that's the people who are in your soul group you come through with a lot. So if they're in your life currently. And so what I do is I ask you sometimes in certain scenes, is there anyone that you recognize from your current life? And how does it work? It's just an immediate recognition, because you're not recognizing, like, if it's your daughter in this life, it might not be your daughter in a past life. You could be the father, and it could be your son or your grandmother. You're recognizing the spirit or the soul, right? Not the body. And don't try to make it work. It's pretty automatic, right? If it is, it's pretty automatic.
Yeah. I remember when my daughter was younger, and I had my youngest son, who has a different dad. She was very, very motherly. Like, she's 8 years older than my youngest son, but she would intervene like she was the mom. And I'm like, you are not the mom in this lifetime. You are not the mom to him. You do not need to be mom. You do not need to be telling me that I'm not doing a good job in this lifetime, because you are all my children in this lifetime. So we did some energetic cord cutting, and some energetic cord cutting between her and my youngest son, and between her and me. And then you could feel her shifting, where she,
Wow.
Yeah. And I did some work too with her, kind of behind the back door, in giving her permission to just be herself, and focus on her soul journey. And she did not have to support me or support her brother in this lifetime in a caregiving role that took away from her purpose.
Wow.
So we did that. Like, I think she was probably, just before she turned 9. Because
there's so many stories out now about children and the things that they say. Like, there was someone on, I can't remember, on Instagram, and I see him, and he has people write in about things people say, kids say.
Oh yeah.
Like, when I was your mother, like a little kid talking to his mother and saying, when I was your mother, blah, blah, blah.
My oldest son said that when he was, I think, 5. He said, you were my mommy before, but you didn't look like this. You didn't look like this, mommy. You looked differently, but you are still my mommy.
And it happens.
And I'm like, was I taller and thinner?
Did you think that too?
Was my skin still really white and burn all the time? And you know what's interesting about that too? My youngest son, who's like 20 now, he's the one that really talks a lot about remembering. Well, both boys, my oldest and my youngest, talking about heaven and different lifetimes and remembering those things. But my youngest was the one that said, "You have always been," which makes more sense to me now. Having had this experience with you, he said, "You have always been prettier without makeup."
Oh,
you've always been prettier without makeup. I mean, he had other things that he said in that little conversation, but he was like, "And I'm more important than whoever you're talking to on the phone. So please get off." That's where that conversation was going. But yeah. Where did we go to from there? We went after my passing.
You went up to spirit world, what I call spirit world, wherever you go after you die. Did you see a tunnel? You saw purple light, healing light.
Yeah, and it was and purple light doesn't do it justice. You know, I've had an experience in a session where divine team, pulled, I was inside the person in spirit's body at the time of their passing. So I saw through their eyes, their room and their passing, and where they were in a healing space on the other side. In that experience, I heard what I perceive as angels singing colors that I can't explain or have words for. It was the most unconditionally loving space. And that happened a lot in the session with you after my soul left my spirit. And I remember when we were talking about when my soul left my body, when my spirit left my body in that lifetime, 2 people saw me, or there was a grandchild and my daughter saw my spirit, because I smiled at my grandchild and my grandchild smiled back in that lifetime.
You were still in the room. You were still in the room. Oh, wow.
Yeah, before I went to the purple light.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, that's because your family had gifts, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. Quietly. Yeah, quietly had these gifts. And I think that's another place where I'm breaking that cycle as well too, and being able to talk about it out loud, because there are generations that didn't talk about it at all, and the uncomfortableness with it. And unfortunately there's still some pressure for my kiddos to not talk about things out loud. So or finding
who you talk about too, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that purple light was bright and brilliant. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. There's a term for it that I can't remember right now, like the heat. I can't remember. It'll come to me as soon as we finish this. And then your guides came and met you, right?
Yes. Well, you know, I've always known that there's a divine team, so they shift and change and come in and out when necessary. So I'm assuming that in that experience, those were the 2 guides that I needed the most in that session to help me maneuver with what our intentions were, right?
I would agree with that.
But I
others through later.
Oh my gosh, so much happened after that. When this is where it got trippy. It was like the trippiest thing. I would not say the trippiest thing I've experienced, but it's a close, like this and this other experience where the trance channeling happened, like spontaneous trance channeling happened.
It means ayahuasca.
Oh yeah, you don't need it.
Or DMT, you don't need it. And
no,
actually, this is actually doing like the same type of
journey.
Your body releases DMT during this work. So people who have these fantastic visions with DMT or ayahuasca, this is almost the same thing.
It was just so powerful to me, and it did take me a long time to process, because I mean, we did this session on the Monday, right? Our session was on the Monday, and then I had clients all week and the podcast, and I was like still trying to process, like probably 2 or 3 days later. I still am, right? I'm still having to.
And you will, and you could even like a year later, you could have an aha, something will click and you'll have an aha moment, or any amount of time.
Yeah, it is extremely powerful. And I just want to say too, like I have never been interested in doing a past life regression. I had never been interested in doing a past life regression, because I know that my neurodivergence would make me hyper focus on one thing. Like I still remember the cringiest thing that I did in grade 7 and ruminate about that every once in a while. So for past life regression, that was my concern, right? So when you said, let's focus on the life between lives, I'm like, okay, let's sign me up. But having gone through this process now, I understand better. and have more appreciation for why the past life how it can help us and understand, and why I would go through that process. So, it was such a great experience for me to, not that I didn't appreciate the work that you did, but how it would benefit me. And
You understand it.
I'm so grateful. Yeah, I'm so grateful to you for that.
I never had any desire to do it either until I went into that and I think that's why I went into that spontaneous past life, because it was my spirit guide saying, okay, Marilyn, get on with it. This is what you're here to do. So
yes, what you're here to do.
We're not going to explore. We're going to give you a little push. It was
right.
A little push, yeah.
So this was a push, because I know that what we're about to talk to next, that push is part of what I need to explore more and begin doing on a deeper level. And clearly I was ready, but I know that I had been digging my heels in for a while, because that came out. I'll bring up Joanna's question. Thank you for being here, Joanna. Joanna is saying, I have no partner or children in this life. Does that mean that I've never had any? And if I had them, why wouldn't they be here with me now?
That goes into the whole pre-life planning. So a great book to read, if I can just say this, is Dr. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls. And it helps you understand how you plan your lifetime, like the milestones, the big things. And if you didn't have them in this lifetime, it doesn't mean you haven't had them, and it means you chose not to have them in this lifetime. And and those are the type of questions you can ask your guides. But yeah, every lifetime is a lot of. I always say to people, if you were going to make up a past life, you would never make up the ones you just experienced, because you'd make up something completely different, right?
Well, I was like, even today when I was revisiting the audio, I was like, man, did I have to go back to where my former husband was? Come on, I thought I did all that.
I have to go back to Earth in my next lifetime.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. There is some, and again, I've done a lot of work that way as well too. Forgiveness and healing and thanking his higher spirit, because I without that, I know that I would not be where we are at today. And it was a very big push, like put the kids in the car and drove provinces away. It was not just a walking away, it was provinces of driving away. Joanna is saying,
oh, sorry.
Joanna's just saying, okay, wow, thank you.
So many people say, like, I didn't have a great childhood. But the thing is, we pretty much choose our parents in the pre-life planning stage. And we say, okay, this is what I need to work on. What parents are going to make me help me accomplish that, even though it may be painful? Like,
yes. And so part of that is recognizing, because I still have a very strained relationship with my father, but understanding that he has played a role, and he has played a role so well that he forgets that he comes from the same place as me. We all come from the same source and all come from the same place of light. And so it helps release the anger part. And it also helps with understanding where the healthy boundaries need to be as well, too. I do not have to put myself in a place of being emotionally or hurt, but can still hold loving respect for him at the same time.
In my early working of this, I worked with a woman. I gave a talk, and at a metaphysical shop, and she came and she heard me that weekend. And this it's a horrible story. It's in the book. Her father killed her mother.
Oh.
And she had a lot to work through and everything. But she came to me later, maybe 6 months later, and she wanted to know. So we went into the in-between, and she actually saw they were planning this. No, I can't remember what the reasoning was, why the father would do this to the mother. Maybe it's a karmic thing, I can't remember. But they wanted to know who will be there to help him or to get him through this. And she saw herself raising her hand and say, I will do it. That was so empowering for her, because she realized, like, she could have gone after that and hated her father and, like, never forgiven him or anything. And she did have to forgive him, not with me, but before she met me or came to me. But she saw herself volunteering for that role, because right after that happened, he went over to her house and, like, how do you do that?
And he volunteered to do that role.
Yes.
Like, and there's that. So understanding that, yeah, it's powerful.
And the mother volunteered to let it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a lot to process, and you have to be at the right time and the right place in order to do that kind of work. And allowing yourself the opportunity to receive whatever counseling support or therapies, alternative healing, regular therapy, counseling, EMDR. There's a lot
to it. And I'm so glad. But regular therapy, and I never would put that down, but it can't do the type of things.
No, but it still serves a purpose.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm glad she went first for regular therapy.
Yeah. Okay. Michelle, we'll put yours. Michelle Plummer is asking, I wonder if there's any correlation to past lifetimes and the types of books we read.
I think it's just your progression of soul. I think, for people who, like me, I'm a readaholic, a bookaholic, whatever you want to call it. And once I started reading books on the spiritual type of books, like I couldn't get enough. I'm still getting.
Do you really? Do you still read a lot of spiritual books?
Yeah, I read those books more than I read novels.
Really?
Yeah.
I find I have to be in the right spot, and they have to be the right ones. So I'm reading some.
Yes.
Like,
it's true. I don't read them as much as I used to, but those are the books I buy as books. And if it's a novel, I just buy it for my Kindle. I just learned something the other day that it makes so much sense once you learn it. But when we talk about being our higher self, and our higher self being that part of our spirit that stays in spirit world, and only, a percentage incarnates into your body. And someone said this just the other day. I don't know if I read it or if I heard it. Your spirit, 100% of your spirit cannot live in a human body. It cannot be contained. Our flesh and blood can only contain a small part of our spirit.
It is.
Makes sense now that I know it, but I just never thought of it that way.
Yeah, no, me either. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Mary Jane, I'll put you
something new.
Well, we do. We should constantly be in a state of progression, evolvement, learning.
And that brings up something that you did while you were in the between. You saw yourself as your higher self.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to share Mary Jane's comment. Then we're going to talk about my light body.
Okay.
Mary Jane is sharing, oh, wow, that was an aha moment for me in understanding how we choose experiences, lessons, and parents.
I highly recommend. That book changed my life. It made me not afraid of dying. And it just made so much sense.
Mhm. And yeah, it's powerful. It's freeing, right? And it helps you go deeper.
Yeah.
So really deep. And then again, I always think about uh, what I see in sessions where there's healing that's needing to take place. So why they're coming through and what the intention is for the client and what the intention is for the person in spirit or that spirit coming through. And how do I want my afterlife to be? So making sure I'm doing what I need to do here so that afterlife is peaceful so I can be more helpful from the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wouldn't want family, regardless of things that they have, uh, regardless of experiences, to be in an unrestful place on the other side.
No, no one wants that. So
My light body.
you,
My light body was fast. That was because I was actually seeing my light body when I was seeing my guides, which I found fascinating because my guides had this physical form, which I don't normally see guides in a physical form. It always is frequency. I feel them and then I know where I'm at, who I'm with, and working based on their unique frequency. So after we got through that initial, what they were showing me, because the taller one, the taller male figure, Emmanuel, was holding a book when I first got there, and Josephine, the smaller one, and Emmanuel was the one that seemed to be keeping me in check. Every time I was pausing to hold back, there was accountability from him, like, don't hold back, move forward, it's okay, or here we go, we're about to take off. And then away we went. It was like 12th dimension. We were moving so fast, and my light body was what I experienced when I saw that person in spirit, when I was experiencing their death and seeing where they went after their death, that home feeling. So when I was seeing my light body, it was I could feel my jaw relax and my shoulders come down because I was at home.
I'm trying to think of what you said. You were sparkly.
Yeah, it was like iridescent. It was brilliant white. Like if you like that mother of pearl, you know how it shimmers with all the colors, that those beautiful purples and blues, and it was just shimmery like that.
There's so much here. We have so much to go through yet.
I know, we're
We
probably
took
gonna
some notes, so that's what we're looking at.
we're gonna need a part 3. I'm gonna pause us before we go next, just so that I do our station ID. So let me do our station ID, and then we can pop right back into things. So if you are just joining us now, thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody that has been listening so far. You have been listening to Spirit Switchboard, and I'm your host, Kerrilynn and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. If you are enjoying what you are listening to, please consider hitting that subscribe button on Spirit Switchboard channel on YouTube. You can head to uprntalkradio.com and find all of the different shows that our network has to offer. There's something for everyone, and there's always new shows that are coming on. And I heard through the grapevine that there's a new website coming on. There's potentially a merch page. There's all kinds of like fun stuff that are in the works. So thank you for hanging around with us. Today's guest is author and hypnotherapist Marilyn Kaufman, author of the book Lifetimes. And she is here talking. We are exploring past lives and life between lives, and the session that I had with her. So thank you so much for being with us today.
I think you should talk about the book, The Course in Miracles.
Okay.
We talk about these things before, what she wants to know, and I write the questions down, because once you get there, like, you might not remember, right? So she told me this story, so we wanted to know.
So this was Jesus and Mary Magdalene, right? Yeah, it was amazing because I kept smelling roses, and I smelled roses when I first went into my light body. When I was seeing my light body, I was smelling roses. I just kept smelling roses.
And that's how
So
they let you know. That's how they let you know that they're near.
yeah.
Mhm.
And um should I explain that story really fast or
Yeah, really quick. Yes, I only say really quick because there's so much more.
yeah, Cold Snow version with the Course of Miracles book. It is a 3-ring binder of Course in Miracles that is not chaptered. It is just like I don't even know. There's no chapters in it. My kids and I were displaced and without a home for a number of years, and we had a storage unit. And I would take the kids to the storage unit. We'd swap out clothes and toys and stuff. There was a green chair. I would lift open the door, unlock the door. I had the only key. Nobody else had the key or the code to get into that storage unit space. And one day we got there. I opened up the door. And this black binder was on the green chair, and it was A Course in Miracles, which I had no idea. When you open it up, that 3-ring binder, and it was a picture of Jesus' face right there. And I just started going through it. Every time we would go to the laundromat, I'm doing it, highlighting, putting notes, having aha moments. I was humming. There was static energy every time, and there still is, but now I understand that you're supposed to pause and allow yourself to process some of it. But I've never understood. So part of our intention when we got together was I've always wanted to know about where the book came from, how it got there, and I wanted to know about the owl experience when I was a child, or for my siblings and I, the owl experiences that we had, and if it was connected to aliens, and that's what showed up. Like when we asked, I saw Jesus and I saw Mary Magdalene and smelled roses. It's
And they
crazy.
told you that.
Honestly, I have not.
They
Pardon?
told you that they put the
I'm
book
gonna.
there.
Oh yes, yeah. That Mary Magdalene specifically, and Jesus did, and that is powerful for me. Was I've always been pulled to Mary Magdalene, and um, yeah, have a different experience with her than what is taught through organized religion about Mary Magdalene. My experiences with her have been very different. So,
And she's making a very large presence now in the world. She really is coming through a lot.
mm-hmm. And again, even with Jesus, my experiences with Jesus was forgiveness with myself, and I know that we're trying to get through the things that happened during our session, but um, with Jesus coming through, this plays a very big part of my path and purpose, and that connection to uh, the divine and what that means, and for us each individually, personally, and the work that I do. It was just powerful because Melchizedek shows up, and that's the embodiment of Christ.
Mm.
It's a
Mhm.
lot. It's a lot.
Do you want to talk about the owl? You talked about the owl.
So yeah,
Oh,
we talked about um
that goes back to when you were 12, I think.
right. So we had as children we had these owls. I'm the oldest of three. Um uh so my brother and sister, my sister is 7 years younger than me. My brother's 2 years younger than me. We had these owls that kept getting closer to the house, and we had all kinds of experiences that were happening. But when we talked to my mom as adults a couple of years ago, my mom had no memory of it at all. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But my brother saw a craft and lights behind a barn. We had all of these experiences. So we asked about that, and it was Lyrans. Like I was seeing Lyrans. They were talking about that first contact. Well, I think there's probably more to it, but I know that I have not really delved into that too much more, but I know that I'm about to, especially with this connection with another guest. So,
And you are, I don't know if you're a Lyran starseed or but you've had lifetime on Lyra.
Yeah, a lifetime there. And it felt like it was part of our lineage. And why? Because when I did some research about that, let me find that really quickly. That was fascinating too. Oh, I know that I can do this quickly. Sorry. Okay. So, it's one of the Lyra constellation and the connection to Lyrans is one of the oldest humanoid civilizations in our galaxy. And when you have that connection to Lyra, you will feel a strong sense of purpose, drawn to the night sky. As a little kid, I would lay out, even in the middle of winter, and I grew up in Northern Ontario, and I would lay outside at night just to watch the stars and the snowfall. And I would stay out there forever. It was like my peaceful place when I was a little kid, looking up at the stars that way. So you would have this connection drawn to the night sky, science fiction, paranormal, exploring spirituality, mythical pathways, deeper meaning of the universe. You're drawn to all of those things. Plus, you mentioned it during the session, this connection to Egypt. And yeah, I did. Every talk was about Egypt at school. When you have to do your orals, I would talk about Egypt. Egypt was such a big draw for me, and still was. So this Egyptian mythology.
Isn't it the Lyran race that populated Egypt? Yes.
Yep. And this strong connection to cats and fulfilling a divine purpose, a strong drive to fulfill divine purpose on earth. And that's me. And then look what I have. Like, my friend was like, hey, I think that this is meant for you. And I went, oh, yes, it is. So it sits beside me when I'm working.
And that's very much an Egyptian cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when you said, yeah, it almost sounded like meow.
Right? Oh yeah. I could curl up I like the sun through the window like a cat too. I don't like being outside in the sun. I'm just going to pull up Mary Jane's question. I want Mary Jane's questions because I know that she had mentioned having them. So Mary Jane is saying, you both speak about knowing someone through how it feels or their spirit. If someone sees other people's faces when they are talking to a person, could it be they are seeing a face from a past life?
I think definitely. Maybe not always, but definitely a possibility.
And learning to trust your intuition, putting your hand over your heart so you remember to stay connected in your heart space. You remember to breathe, taking that full breath in and asking if your spirit guides can help give you that response. Is this connected to a past life? Is this somebody in spirit presenting themselves? And then using your body like a human pendulum. Do you move forward or backward for yes or no, left or right? Do you get it? And it helps teach you how you're receiving your information. Is it auditory? Is it visual? Is it unknowing? So continually asking and then trusting what you get every time those experiences come up. I think people don't give themselves permission to ask questions, right? Just be nosy.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why I like this work so much, because I'm pretty nosy.
I say that about my work too. I feel I'm a very good medium because I'm like, oh yeah, your grandpa, show me some stuff. Like, oh yeah, show me. I love that. So yeah, we had, and the guide that I feel that I had coming through felt female, and my intention is to draw her because that face has been right there. So I know that I'm going to paint her, actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the light language.
So this is interesting, and this is where I was hesitating. So we had this experience, you and I. Yeah. So we talked about experiences to understand how to do my best work. and moving forward with the work that expanding from what I currently do. And light language came up. I knew that light language was going to come up. I have resisted doing anything that felt like loss of control for me. Doing regular mediumship, physical mediumship, I've had trance channeling come through 3 times. It was all spontaneous, and that loss of control was hard for me. Mm-hmm. And that's what it felt like I was about to happen when I bolted upright.
You did. That's
mm-hmm.
right.
I bolted upright, sat upright in the chair, and my eyes open. And I remember looking at you, but it didn't feel like I was there, but not there. Present, but somewhere.
Multi-dimensional.
Yes. Yeah, I was seeing you in space. I don't know. It was a lot, but then you like, I can hear you because I got to that part in the recording today, and you're like, close your eyes. Like, you can tell you were a little freaked out, but still trying to be calm at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Has that happened before?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had to let people get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of a session.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't think I could have walked, but I definitely was like, oh, guys, something weird is about to happen. And the light language, and I could hear the light language in my head. It was like, boop, 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 boop. It was really fast.
And I thought you were going to start speaking light language.
I feel like I was supposed to. And that's where it wasn't anxious. I wasn't anxious. I was still calm, but I was experiencing it. So once I gave myself permission to download it, and that's what I think happened.
But do you remember that it started showing up on your body?
Yeah, it lit up. It lit up from underneath my skin. Whoop, like it was tattooed and imprinted on me and part. So that download or whatever it was, that's what I ended up doing. And I remember like my eyes kept moving a lot. And I was looking around a lot, like there was a lot that was happening.
But I think that's part of your purpose, is that light energy, the light language is going to start coming through art for you.
Yeah, and yes, so some of that stuff has started happening, but I definitely know that. Yeah, we'll see where that happens. I just don't want people asking me. So I need to do this. This is where I hold back and I don't let people know everything, because then the demand starts and I have to be ready in my space before I expose that. I know that I'm going to, but it's, and I reached out to somebody too about the light language to help with a little bit of support in that journey. So I have that happening as well too.
I just think that I would be making it up. I can't get past that. Just let it flow through me, because I think I would just start making it up, and it just isn't. It's not coming naturally to me.
Right, and I know that was a hurdle when I started doing this full time as well too, doing mediumship full time. I'm saying things and people are shaking their head no, and I have to just be okay to keep going because I know, and. You know, however that lands. And inevitably I'll get an email later going, hey, this happened. And I'm like, I don't need the email either, because I've already moved on, but I'm glad that it lands where it needs to go. So the light language, I fully appreciate don't want to feel like a wackadoodle or a cult leader. Right. Yeah. And because those people do use the buzzwords in order to manipulate people. And I know that I wouldn't, that's not my intention. But feeling more confident and having some space to download and process, allow it to happen a little bit more, and then allowing it to come through will give me more confidence later. So I know that it's part of the journey. Like language is part of the journey. And we just said that out loud.
We didn't want anyone to know.
I didn't want anybody to know. Didn't want anybody to know. Yeah. Hi, Mitch. Thank you for coming back.
You had a physical healing.
Oh yeah, there was there. It was weird because I felt my body adjusting. It was there was
And you
like
even said
organ.
you're moving stuff around.
Yeah, organs was. It felt like organs were moving around. And the last time something like that happened, um, I forget. I think that my oldest son was, I don't know, 12, 13 or so, and it was an off-world alien guide that came through that was showing me DNA structures, and I was
Wow.
seeing them
Mhm.
manipulating in order to for me to understand how they were helping my oldest son.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of that kind of stuff, so it felt similar to that, where there was healing and adjusting. And that, oh yeah, I saw birds and symbols, my shoulder, it was moving down my arms. Yeah, it was like a download. The light language was, I don't know, downloading and shifting and healing. There was just a lot that was happening in that moment. Because
Mhm.
that right after that was when I saw Melchizedek. And Melchizedek, when Melchizedek came in, they leaned forward, and it was forehead to forehead, and the
Third eye to
same,
third eye to third eye.
yeah, third eye to third eye. And um, that was more powerful than being in that hall of library where I was seeing these endless books, which books
Mhm.
have always been my escape, savior, safe place. Books have always been that for me. So this third eye to third eye with Melchizedek, oh, I got goosebumps down the back of my neck again. Woo, tooth bumps. So my tooth bumps, he, uh, it was like a movie and all of this information coming through. So divine wisdom, um, uh,
Almost
light,
prophecy.
pardon?
Almost prophecy.
Yeah,
So,
and then everything started to happen that way. So it was wisdoms that were coming through. I don't know how comfortable I feel about sharing some of the prophecy stuff, but it was it was a lot. There was a lot about the US.
I think
Um
the one thing that's really nice that I don't think is that, a lot of information that's hidden from us now is going to come forward soon.
yes, and it did feel through um
Like the pyramids, under the pyramids, and
yeah, I was seeing the pyramids for sure. I was seeing underneath the pyramids. I saw Lemuria anchoring energy. I saw Aristotle as Lemurian.
yeah,
Um,
before he came to Greece, he was
mhm.
Lemurian. Yeah.
And then seeing information that was coming up around that. What is the word that I'm wanting? Natural disasters. I was seeing these natural disasters, but through more natural disasters, there were um, discoveries of places and ancient wisdoms that would be
And
revealed. So, and then I remember I was seeing the map and I had saw places. So there was earthquakes 2 or 3 days after our session where I was seeing that
wow,
happen.
wow.
Hmm. I know. So it was just a lot to deal with.
There was also a hawk that dropped a crystal on your forehead. Was it on your
Yeah.
forehead? And
Yeah. And then it was weird because I saw grids like a kaleidoscope. It was like just
the
all
earth,
shifting
the
and
earth
changing.
grids. Yeah.
Yeah. These earth grids. So again, I feel like those are things that were information that was downloaded for me to tap into again to do more light work for anchoring the light here for what's coming up next.
Wow. There was a lot.
Yeah.
It, it was a lot.
Yes. Good thing I'm not a drinker.
And there was
Because, yeah.
a
I,
Lemurian guide
I,
came through and gave you those 5 stones.
yeah, that was wild too. Everything about this was crazy. So,
So,
um,
can I just say something? So, like, we wrote, like, right after this happened, I listened to the recording myself and wrote all these notes. And when you get home, it would be a good thing to journal, because it's a lot. In any session, it's a lot. So if you journal
I
all your
couldn't.
thoughts and feelings, and some of the things that happened, I'm not even, because I just let you go.
Yeah, you
You were
did.
going
You were
so
so
fast.
beautiful that way.
I don't usually do that with, or people don't usually go the way you took off. So
Mm-hmm.
go home and write notes and journal, and and that'll help you process. And or even if you can't do it right away, when you listen to the recording, because
Yes.
not everybody listens to the recording. Listen to it, because there'll
Oh
be
yeah.
things you remember, the visuals, and you remember so much, but there'll be things that you don't remember. So it's really a good idea to listen to the recording. I've had people call me like 4 years later and say, "Do you still have my recording?"
Oh
Yeah, I
no.
do.
Do you really?
I have them on thumb drives. So
Wow.
he'll tell me what year it was and stuff like that. And like, they just said like 4 years, this happened not long ago, 4 years later.
Wow.
Someone from 5 years ago just sent me an email saying so how much this session helped, and they're actually moving to London and they want to come back for another session.
Wow, eh? I know this was monumental because it was, I have known coming into 2025 that by the end of this year there would be different work that I would be doing on a different level. So, and I could feel it coming out of 2024 that 2025 was going to be different. So this really was validating for me and opening it up for me. Like I have not, I get so busy with work that I don't give myself the time to explore on my own and how far I can go on my own. So doing this was helpful. Like I can get here and here's some next steps of the work that I'm going to do. When that I don't when that guide came back in, the Lemurian guide came in and gave me those stones, I saw portals, all these different portals, and I was zooming in this light body, whoop, 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 and I was just seeing how that the like sacred geometry was tying it all together. And yeah, there was a lot of healing that way that was happening. March 16th message. I don't remember that last part on our notes, though. I didn't get back there, so I'd have to listen to the recording. But there was like the last little bit where it says March 16th.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that either, what that is.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and listen. So to be honest, I've listened to just about 3/4 of the recording again. And in that 3/4 of listening, I've wrote an extra seven pages front and back of notes that I remember what I was seeing, because it was so much that I wasn't sharing out loud, because I kept moving and seeing all of these things as we were moving. And then I wrote down, I don't think it. Oh, the Lyran family, or the Lyran guide. It was Bahachia.
Yes, Bahachia.
Bahachia. That was the name that came through, and that was right before all the light language stuff started, which is wild. I'm just going to just be mindful of our time as well too. We have about 10 minutes before we have to wind down. Stephanie is asking, would there be a difference in perception from a psychic medium having a past life regression and someone who is not a psychic medium, in terms of how they experience may be different?
Well, everybody experiences it differently. But Kerrilynn, as a psychic medium, is very open. And so she received a lot of things that I would never receive. Like you've been a healer, and how many lifetimes, we've got that written somewhere, and
Yeah.
the seer in that past life we went to. I'm not that open. I'm not a psychic medium. But that doesn't mean I don't have amazing sessions for me.
Yeah.
My prayer is that whenever anyone comes, they have the best experience for their highest good. That's what I hope for everybody.
And Stephanie, I'm glad that you're excited about your upcoming appointment with Marilyn. What I would also remind you is you do breath work as part of the offerings that you give to people. So, you know, the depth that you're going to be able to go, you know how to relax and get into meditation. And so your experience will be exactly what it's needing to be for you, just as it is with everyone else. And the amount of meditation that you do and the work that you do, you know, will help you get there. May not be exactly as it, like this, but it will be exactly what it's needing to be for you.
And by the way, Stephanie, when you come, bring me one of your books because I'd like to smell the flowers.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
They're beautiful. Okay. Mish, I'll pull this question up for you as well too. I know I've missed some today. Curious, reading so many different people, are there similar things everyone talks of? So was my session, were there similar things compared to other sessions? What do you see?
The past life, you got glimpses. Remember, and I take you forward to another time, you know, like later in that life and later, or it could be younger, it could be earlier. So we do that. So you're just getting glimpses of those past lives, and that's, but it's the glimpses that help you get the understanding that you need from that life. And there are certain questions that, like when we talk about questions. So when you come and we talk for a good maybe hour, I kind of divide things. What's best to explore in a past life, and what's best to ask your spirit guides about. So I always like to have people ask what their purpose is in this life. That's like one of the things. So, you know, and then
And
there's
you,
always how those past lives relate to your current life. But there's many similarities because I work, but maybe other people who do past life regression don't work the same way I do, because I know people have come to me who've had past lives, but they've never met their spirit guides. And so, like, I think that's one of the nice things that I bring to a session.
agreed.
And it's almost as good as having a between life. It's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
But able to meet your guides and sometimes deceased loved ones. I think that is just such a beautiful experience when people meet deceased loved ones. And
yeah,
so there are a lot of similarities. I mean, I've done so many that there are similarities, but everyone's different, and I never know what to expect, and I have to be ready for everything. And that's where I depend on my intuition. I'm not psychic, but I'm intuitive when I do this work.
Yeah. And you said in the preparation for a session, you give us a little bit of homework, like to be prepared,
Yes.
so that we have an intention, and that helps you as well too. So we do have a little bit of that prompting to think about it before we go to you.
Ask what do you want to explore in a past life, and what do you want to ask your spirit guides. And we talk about all that. So, and then questions come up, you know, like even in talking, questions will come up.
Yeah, it leads you different places. And like you also prompt about our soul group, like if you know, are there people that are presenting during that time
between life?
Yeah. And so that was fascinating for me to see who had come up, and it helped me process a friend's passing as well too. Like, even though this is the work that I do, I was still hung up in some grief around that friend's passing, and yeah, they showed up right away.
That's one thing. If people, like, I can't guarantee anything about deceased loved ones coming through. But if people are grieving really heavily, I would say don't come to see me at that point. Wait, because like even my own daughter who lost a baby, you know, like it's still too emotional. You know, like
I'm sorry.
yeah.
And that came up for me in our session, like the babies that I had miscarried, all of them came through with my spirit guides presenting all of these babies from both.
That part. I don't think
Yeah,
I heard that part.
it's
A pet dog came through.
Yeah,
Lady.
a pet dog came through. My dog Lady, yeah, who was also very much a projector when I was little. Hi, Sparky. Thank you for being here. Sparky's Paranormal and Outdoors. Sparky, I saw you this morning live at 4 a.m. and I'm like, why are we both awake at 4 a.m.? What is that all about? Makes for a long day. It was great for me to see that person though, because it was how I normally see for other people when I'm in a session for other people. So to have that experience that was just for me was very special.
Wow.
It was
And there was something else. Did you ever contact the woman who came through the clouds? Someone from England.
Oh, so I did reach out to that person and just ask if there was a bit of a teaching moment in there. And that was fascinating because she had agreed that there could be a teaching moment and a peeking in when someone else is doing remote viewing.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So was she remote viewing?
She was remote viewing at the time.
Oh, wow. Did she know you were having a session?
No.
Oh. Just a coincidence that she peeked through.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, eh?
Mm-hmm. Because I pushed her out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
didn't she ask you to try to push her out?
She asked me to try to push her out, and I pushed her out. Yeah. And that felt good to me.
That was something I wouldn't expect other people to experience. Right?
Yeah. But again, it was a very good learning curve for me in understanding in remote viewing in different places, depending on where I'm remote viewing. I have, like, when I was traveling, it felt like dimensionally, when I was moving dimensionally, when they were moving dimensionally, I saw beings from those different dimensional spaces noticing me as I was maneuvering. They were turning and looking and noticing me as we were maneuvering. And I was trying to keep up to recognize which I'm not going to recognize. So that's where the drawing or writing how I was seeing, so I can look up what beings they were to know where I was traveling.
Wow.
Because they were all turning to look, and then it was like a movie when they pause, like you're moving really fast and they pause so you can freeze frame and see who's there. And then that's when my friend presented. I miss him. So he presented, said, "Hey kiddo," like he always does. And I felt my heart just explode. And then we moved and whoop, whoop, we were just off we were again. So it doesn't surprise. I may have popped into their space, actually, is what I feel happened. Not necessarily that person who was remote viewing popping into my space.
Right.
That makes sense. I don't know. It all makes my head kind of spin when we start talking about the timey-wimey stuff too, right? And timelines and adding all of those shifts in. Yeah. So hi, Sherry Radigan. Thank you for being here. Sorry, Marilyn.
That's okay. You found out that you were a healer and you just put dates out, like 1598, 1894, 1943.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, 1971.
And did I say 1971?
No, I said it. I said I would consider 1971 because you are a healer. What you do is very healing.
Yeah, 1971 was when I was born.
Right. So
at 3:33.
That was this lifetime. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's pretty consistent with an experience that I had with a different person who I don't feel they meant for me to have some kind of past life. I don't even know if it was, I don't think it was a past life. I think I went dimensionally, and all of these female, I was experiencing and seeing different lifetimes in my death. And those relationships always with a powerful partner, male partner that was a healer, and how I was not allowed to be big in that. So yeah, it just seemed to be in alignment with what happened in that experience as well too. So I just wanted, we have about 3 minutes ish. Is there anything that you would like to share about the work that you do, where people can find you? Last
The
minute
best
thought.
place to find me is youareasoul.ca, or you can email me at youareasoul@hotmail.ca. And just to remind, it's CA and not .com on both. But the one thing I wanted to also mention is that we always ask, like, going forward, what is your takeaway? And yours was really to let your light shine more, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even though I'm very public with my very public with my job, but
I don't know how you do all the things you do, like every morning live, and I'm retired. I can't do all that stuff.
Well, sometimes I don't feel like I do it very gracefully, but I do the best that I can. Yeah, the takeaway was how much I still have to learn about myself, and can learn through those past experiences. And then it's going to be monumental. Like it was powerful and monumental, the dimensional traveling. And there's more of that to come. I think that's opening up. So I just keep saying, like, I have 3 weeks of holidays coming up. So I'm just trying to get to that, so then I can really take time for me to explore and see what happens when I'm doing this. And books kept coming up as well too. So I know that I need to be writing my book, which I have resisted for a very long time, But I know that the journey and being able to teach people, as you did too, right? Being vulnerable about experiences, and showing how we maneuvered the tools that we use to maneuver through that, and how people can do the same. So time off, it will happen then. I so appreciate you. I'm so grateful our paths crossed.
I so appreciate being able to do these podcasts. They were great. It's just, it's fun to talk to people who understand all this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't talk to everybody about it, right? But no, it's been wonderful, and getting to know a lot of the people who have actually made appointments.
And it's community.
It's really a blessing for me to do this work, like to understand, to know people, and we're all struggling, and we all have questions, and we all want to be better, and it's just great work. I love doing it.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm grateful. And what you have to offer has been a blessing to me, and all of the people, and the people that are about to book. So thank you so much, everybody, for being in the chat and hanging out with us today. Everyone is saying, amazing ladies, thank you for sharing, and great show. I do work 24/7, Sparky, you and me both. But I appreciate all of you so very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you so much, Marilyn. And please consider finding and purchasing the book as well too. It's called Lifetimes by Marilyn Kaufman. So
and you can get it on Amazon. And
Amazon is where I got it too. So I was
Kindle. It's only like $6.99 on Kindle. I think I buy a lot of books on Kindle. So
Yeah. So thank you to the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Please stay tuned because Jeffrey Pritchett is up next with Church of Mavis. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.